Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's fantasy football strategy show, Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner, and I'm here today just with Ross the Boss.
Hey, everybody. Ross the Boss here, coming live from Los Angeles, California. And we have a lot of fantasy football to talk about. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of injuries, a lot of starting quarterbacks that are new to the game starting this week that we'll talk about. And I'm excited about a lot of matchups. We even have a game tonight, which is great. I'm excited about.
Yeah, so Ross, let's start with the headline news that you have. You actually sent a text earlier in the week with just some rundowns. Let's do that rundown right now, just so we can talk with people about what's happening.
Well, as we know, we have a new quarterback situation in New England. Derek May is taking the reins.
Drake May, correct?
Drake May, yeah.
Yep.
He's taking the reins in New England, which is a huge deal, I think, just because of fantasy wise. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to start him, but I'm curious to see what this highly touted quarterback who was drafted in the first round by a lot of teams in Dynasty will do.
I mean, it's always a big deal when one of these high pick rookie quarterbacks comes in. You're like, what's going to happen here? I mean, when Baker Mayfield first came in, I was like, wow, he looks like the real deal, which he was. And the Browns made that mistake, but it's always a big deal. And we'll see what what value he provides. Let me say hi to Real Tommy V. Says, hello, gentlemen. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you, Tommy.
And, devastating news. One of your favorite players this year, you talked about him every week. I have it on tape, is Nico Collins. And Nico's on the IR.
Oh, I was upset about that. Yep.
And I was trying to figure out what week to week means on Tuesday with Casey Scheinfeld. I said, so he'll decide that week if he plays or not? Or is it what's the difference between week to day to day? I was trying to figure that out. But
I mean, here's my way of I think it's stupid terminology, and especially because once he's put on IR, he's out for 4 weeks. So it's not week to week. He's out for at least 4 weeks. But the way I understand it is day to day means he could play that week. Week to week means he's not playing that week. It means when he graduates to day, that's when you might see him. So, for teams who lost Nico Collins, how do you replace that?
I mean, he was leading the league in receiving. I mean, he was the number one receiver so far in the NFL. I mean, I guess maybe Tank Dell. I guess maybe Tate. Maybe Diggs. I mean, I'm not really quite sure how you replace him.
I think one of the problems is that CJ Stroud is going to end up spreading the ball around in that situation. It's not like any one of them is going to become Nico Collins. Tank Dell's probably your best bet to put up some big numbers, if you ask me. But that's a big loss, and I hate it. You and I were probably the two highest on Nico Collins of anybody that I talked to. So that's a big loss.
And then where is Jonathan Taylor? I mean, has anybody seen him? And he hasn't been reporting to camp. He hasn't been seen by anybody in days.
I think he's with Davante Adams somewhere.
Yeah, and Davante Adams is not playing this week, 3rd week in a row because of his hamstring injury, which I don't believe. I think he's just waiting to be traded, which is today's Thursday, still no trade.
It's kind of weird though that he would let it be represented that he's got a hamstring issue when he's wanting to be traded. I mean, wouldn't you want to seem healthy?
It's saying that I don't want to show up and play in the game on Sunday for the Raiders.
That's definitely why he's doing it, and it makes sense in a sense. I mean, I don't totally respect it, but at the same time, I get it. He doesn't want to risk injury on a team he doesn't believe in. I mean, there's a lot of prima donna behavior from wide receivers.
You're in Cleveland, and there's rumors speculating. Your owner is a very wealthy guy. He made all his money in the energy business.
Yep.
Very, very rich, very wealthy. Money to him is very easy. He doesn't mind spending money, obviously. There's a rumor going around that your quarterback might be released in the next couple days, couple weeks. They're just sick of his whole antics. I mean, I think they should just bench him and have him watch the game from the sidelines. That's my idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge salary cap hit if they cut him. But there are gains to cutting him, because it's like you cut ties, you move on. The fan base can move on. I think you have to bench him one way or another. I would be moving on from him whether he's benched or cut.
I mean, it's not getting better. he's getting worse every game. I mean, I wish
Yep.
I could say, oh, he's showing a lot of promise. He's not. He's trying to scramble. He's getting sacked. I mean,
No, I mean he looks terrible, and it's clearly affecting the Browns locker room because they actually have a lot of talent. We saw it last year. I
yeah, Joe
still believe
Flacco.
I still believe in Stefanski. I still believe in Andrew Berry, the GM.
I do too. Stefanski showed us what he did in the playoffs. He took the Browns to the playoffs. You know.
Now, if the Browns are smart, they'll stick with Stefanski and Berry.
I
They'll
agree.
get rid of Watson, and they'll just stay the course. I mean, even if we go 2-14, it doesn't matter. I can't believe I just said we. I got to cut that habit. All right.
No, I'm trying to get you back in. That's why I
The
brought
real
it up.
right now I'm a
really back in
Texans
as a
fan. Right
Browns
now I'm a Texans fan, and of course Nico Collins got hurt. Okay,
Yeah,
real time maybe says Richardson's status changed to healthy. Is that what you're seeing too, Ross?
Yeah, he's practicing. And my question to you, Dr. Dan Ratner, is what do you do if Flacco he was outstanding. I mean, I don't say that word that often. He was outstanding on Sunday. Over 300 yards. He was hitting. I mean, this guy he's just a gunslinger. I mean, he's just a guy that he can't move, but he can throw the ball to anybody he wants anytime. I mean, do you keep Joe Flacco in there? Or I guess you got to go with your highly touted.
I think they have to find out what they have in Anthony Richardson. If I were the Browns, I would have kept Flacco in the first place, and then he would be starting next week. That's there's plenty of teams Flacco should be starting for because he really is that good. Now, at the same time, when a team has a lot of time to prepare for him, you saw what happened to him in the playoffs. He is limited. You can expose him. But if you want to make the playoffs, Flacco is a great play. Anthony Richardson, I think they as a franchise, they committed enough to him that they've got to see what they've got. If I'm a fantasy owner, though, don't cut Joe Flacco because Anthony Richardson is going to get hurt again.
I predict
that I don't want that, but I think
Joe Flacco is going to be playing quarterback for them if they don't win with Richardson in 2 games. I just see them going with Flacco just because he can show what he can do for the Colts.
Well, and if they're in a position to actually make the playoffs, they're going to go for it, and as well they should. Okay, HBK says free Diddy. What do you have to say about this,
Ross? I watched the special last night on ABC 2020 on Diddy. Wow. He's going to be in jail for a long time. Wow.
It's pretty crazy what goes on out there.
I was not part of the party situation, but I mean, there were guys that went to like his parties like 90 times. They went to these parties. I don't know. When will these videos start coming out? I mean,
you're representing it well because you can barely even get the words out. It's like, what?
No,
what do you even say?
I don't want to name people because again, they haven't been proven guilty, and I don't want to tell you what celebrities who was where and what did what. But there's a lot of celebrities right now, I think, that are shaking in their boots and hiding right now in their closets because they know their name's going to come out very soon.
Yep. It's a dangerous world out there, in more ways than one. Okay, Gliz says, which defense would be a better play this week, Titans or Colts? Do you know the matchups offhand, Ross? I can pull it up for you.
Let's pull it up real quick. I don't have the matchups in front of me. I can do it too.
All right, well, we'll just talk about the defenses in general, though. For some reason, my internet connection is not allowing me to go.
I mean, the Titans defense is both defenses are not good. I mean, the defense that I want to start this week, if it's available, are the Eagles.
Okay.
The Eagles are playing the Giants, and they're playing some other soft team too, like back to back.
All right, I'm looking now. So the Colts are playing. The Colts are playing at the Titans. Oh, I see. So it's I mean, in that game, I always play the home team. If you have to hedge your bets on teams like that, I would go with the home team. But I don't know. What do you think?
I don't like the quarterback for the Titans. I think he's a college quarterback, great college quarterback, horrible pro quarterback. He's getting picked every game. Looks awful. Not good. I would start the Colts quarterback.
Yeah, but I got to say, I'm looking at Eagles playing the Browns, and the Browns are in complete disarray. That's a great pick. Who else do I like here? I mean, Ravens, obviously. Well,
I like Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay also.
Can you believe the Commanders are 4-1?
No, and they're playing. Who are they playing?
They're playing the Ravens, so it's going to be on the road. It's going to be tough, but I mean, Jaden Daniels, certainly from a fantasy perspective, looks great. Would you trust the Bears defense playing against the Jaguars? And then we've got a question against Etienne. I can't trust the
Jaguars have nothing. The Jaguars are going to start throwing the ball. Their offense is.
I can't trust the Bears.
No.
How about Bills at Jets? Would you start the Bills with confidence because the Jets are in such a disarray? Robert Saleh got fired.
I think the Jets are going to win that game.
I think the Jets are going to be energized and they're going to. Yeah. I think we're going to have a Breece Hall sighting.
The Bills have not been playing good football recently. They've been giving up a lot of points.
Well, not only that, but you saw the Sean McDermott blown clock situation, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't understand how often NFL head coaches blow the clock management. I would say it's not that hard, but then I realized, they're under the gun during.
So there was not much time left. Bills
had and there's a lot that goes on there, but you just got to run the ball.
Yeah, but you're on the 2-yard line. Why are you not running the clock out just to get it to overtime? You know
it makes no sense, especially with
this guy. What he did is 3 straight passes, 3 straight drop balls.
No, you know what the real problem, Ross, is? He threw the first one. Once he threw the first one, he was committed to have to throw the second one. You have to run on that first down.
And then they punted, and then they got in field goal range, and Houston wins. So there you go.
It was just nuts. Okay, Real Time V says, would it be wild if Dallas traded for Etienne? I think that's a smart move for Dallas, and I think the Jaguars would be smart to get something for him and just move on and use Tank Bigsby.
Etienne is not doing well in Jacksonville. They should put him 3rd string. I would make him. He's horrible.
Yeah, but don't you think they can get something for him in trade?
I think they can get a 2nd or 3rd round pick for him. Yes.
So then definitely do that. I mean, a 2nd or 3rd round pick in the NFL, you can replace a guy like that.
I would trade him
instantly. I like the idea, Tommy. Albert Merriquin says, good afternoon. Great to see you as always, Albert. Let us know if you have any questions. Mark Grefford says, what receiver do you guys think I can get for DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, and Zach Moss? So you're dealing them all together, it sounds
all
like.
3?
Well, first of all, Zach Moss probably not going to get you a lot of value right now. My Chase Brown picks looking better and better as a sleeper. But DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson has also disappointed. These were 2 calls that I made correctly. I make lots of bad ones, as we know.
Yeah, well, it's not hard with any Jet. I never draft any Jets. It's one of Russell's rules.
It's pretty hard. DJ Moore looks pretty solid as always. So who can you get for that?
He came off the eye. He came off an injury. Keenan Allen's due for a big game in Chicago. People are down on him right now. But I mean, if I had to get a receiver, I'm just trying to think who you should get that I think will mean something.
Yeah, see, it's got to be a meaningful upgrade over those players.
Yeah,
I mean, Jamar Chase just had a huge game. I think you can go for him.
I would try to package more. I would take Moss out because Moss is more of a waiver guy. I would just waive him. He's not going to do anything in Cincinnati.
Probably. It depends on what I mean, if you're in a 14-team league, maybe
I would try to trade more in Garrett and get somebody like I would go after like a big dog.
I mean, if you're going to deal DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson, there's not many players that fit the bill for that. I mean, it's Jamar Chase, it's Justin Jefferson. It's
I mean, the owners for Tyreek Hill are very upset right now. They're not getting any value out of him right now because they're on the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they're about to. So that's actually that would be a great deal actually, Ross. Now that I think
Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he'll bring it soon. I think he'll have some big games coming up.
And by the way,
CeeDee Lamb is another guy that's not playing up to his potential. That's due for a huge game.
Yeah, and I think you're totally safe to go get him.
And whereas Cooper Kupp and Puka should be back soon, I imagine.
Yeah, look,
but I would say somebody at that level, the receivers I just mentioned.
You know what I would do also if I were like 4-1 or 5-0, certainly deal Garrett Wilson straight up for Nico Collins. I mean, I hate to trade for an injured guy because it is a risk. It is a risk. It could linger for a while, but it could pay off hugely. So
I like it.
I could see doing something like that. But I think otherwise, you're right. It's got to be Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, where else do you go? There's not that many places to go here. Maybe if you believe in Malik Neighbors or
he's hurt.
Marvin Harrison
Jr.
Jr.
Back, I think he's a concussion. I think he'll pass the protocol this week.
A guy I would love to trade for. I would have loved to trade for last week would be Drake London. He exploded this week. We love Kirk Cousins, and he looks He looked as advertised
Yeah,
there.
500 yards passing, not bad.
It's just an insane amount. I think in our MFSN league, he would have scored 73 points in 1 week. All right, let's see. So I'd say go for those guys. Oh,
Top tier guys, 2-for-1
Mark Redford
deal.
says he already
You
has
can
London.
get it done.
Nice. But 2-for-1 deal, DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson. I'd go
Yep,
for
2
I
for
would
1.
go for Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson.
We call that a Dr. Dan special. We call that in
it
the
is
business.
completely. He has London and DK Metcalf. I like your receivers already.
Yep.
Now you may be playing in a shallower league, maybe a 10-team league based on what I'm seeing with the wide
Start
receivers.
DK tonight. Yep. DK should have a big game tonight.
Yep. Okay. Real Tommy V says Levis hasn't thrown an interception. It said Levi's at first. I was like, are we talking about pants? Levis hasn't thrown an, that was obviously an autocorrect. Levis hasn't thrown an interception that he hasn't liked.
Yeah, I've seen him throw some interceptions, so no, you're not. He's built like a strong man. The guy's huge. I mean, I'm not doubting his skills. I'm just saying his decision making is horrible. And he was great in college. I mean, he's a great college quarterback, but in the pros, he's horrible. And it's time that Tennessee should make a change. They can't start this guy every week.
Let me ask you this. Okay, Mark Crawford says Jefferson, Chase, and CD owners already turned it down, so he's obviously smart.
Okay, well, at least you're trying.
12-team league, by the way, so he drafted a really good team. But who do you go for then? Let me ask you this: how much do you believe in Jayden Reed as an example? I mean,
I like Jayden Reed. I think he's a legit number one. Legit.
Right. So I think you go ahead and trade Garrett Wilson for Jayden Reed, just straight up.
Yeah, I like Jayden. That's a good one, Dr. Dan. I've been talking about him a lot lately. He gets the ball deep. He's for sure the number one receiver in Green Bay now. I was thinking maybe Wicks or Romeo Dobbs or one of those guys, but no, it's Reed, and he's showing why he's the number one receiver. He's making unbelievable catches. He's great.
Yeah, I mean he's a player that I think you could turn someone like Garrett Wilson, who's been disappointing. He's got the name value, into Jayden Reed. You're going to get more production out of Reed. You got a better quarterback throwing to him. No offense to Aaron Rodgers, but at this point, Jordan Love. It's kind of funny that
you can also go to the AJ Brown owner. AJ comes back this week.
Yep, that's another good one.
Do a 2-for-1.
Yep, give those a try. Yeah. Give those a try, Mark. Let's see, and let's see. Yeah. Maybe you've already tried them, but let's see what you have to say. Real Time V says, I'm from Connecticut. I've seen a lot of him. So Levis is from Connecticut. I can't even remember where he went.
I thought he went to school at Western Kentucky. Is that where he went?
Yeah. I think it was Kentucky. No, was it Western Kentucky? I don't remember. You're the college guy. You're the one who knows.
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't know he's from Connecticut.
All right, our pleasure, Mark. Good luck with that. Let us know how it goes. Let's get back to headlines. What else do you have in mind, Ross, that we haven't covered already in terms of big-time headlines?
Well, hold on. I wrote I want to get to text I sent you, bozos. Davante Adams is missing. As I said,
what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Let's do some predicting.
I mean, everybody thinks he's going to the Jets because of Aaron Rodgers.
God.
I'll be curious if he goes there. Now they're saying Pittsburgh, which should be interesting with Fields. Fields is not like his first thing is not passing, it's running. I mean, he's not like a guy that passes the ball that much.
But I have a feeling that Davante Adams, he'll probably accept an assignment that just gets him into a better situation this year. I don't think he's only going to hold out.
You know what else they're talking about? I mean, you mentioned the team earlier, and if he went to this team, I would say there'll be a big playoff contention team is the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine him going to Washington with Daniels? Just having the maturity and having him there. I mean, I think that's a huge plus.
I think that would be huge. Also, a guy like Davante Adams, when he goes to a new place, he wants to show his value. Players like that tend to explode when they go to new places. Real Time AV points out Pittsburgh would be terrible for Adams, which I think is basically what you were saying, Ross. I think we all agree that would not be the place that we would want him to go. Real Time AV is suggesting Buffalo. That would be a great fit, at least on paper.
No, that'd be good.
I don't know what happened between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, though. Maybe there's some kind of issue with that. I don't know. But obviously, from a skills perspective and team perspective, if you're a Davante Adams roster and that happens, I just traded for him in Dynasty, Ross, in one of the leagues. I can't remember.
Right.
And it was just time, because wherever he goes, he's still going to have value. But if he goes to a place like Buffalo, that would be huge. Where else could you see him going that would be huge value? Washington is one you said.
Washington, the Jets. I'm just trying to think of teams that need receivers that are playoff contention. A lot of teams are playoff contention, actually, not that, But I would say the two lead runners right now are Pittsburgh, the Jets, and I'll throw Buffalo in there. I'll do that.
I could see him in Atlanta. I don't know if Atlanta would want to do that.
I don't know about that. Atlanta has a lot of good receiver.
They do, but you put him next to Drake London. That's pretty nasty. How about Kansas City?
The big news is also some big news is, Derek Carr is out. Rattler's in. Rookie Rattler from South Carolina via Oklahoma. I'm curious to see what he does. I had him in one of our dynasty leagues, and he is. It should be an interesting start with him. He was not a bad quarterback in college.
No, I've been watching Rattler for like 3 years. I'm waiting to see him get his opportunity. What about Davante Adams to the Chiefs?
Going where?
The Chiefs.
They've been talking about that too. I think Mahomes would be the happiest guy in the world if that happened. He has a lot of. His best receivers out for the year with Rice.
Yep. That's actually another piece of news, because Rice was looking like he was going to be out only 4 weeks.
The thing is, I don't get. And they divert money. They have ways to move money around so they can go underneath the cap. I just don't understand the whole money thing with some of these teams. If some teams can't afford them or could afford them, it's just so many variables when it comes to when you pay players and when they accept their money. I don't know. I don't know.
And a lot of it are these cap rules. Like a lot of people say, well, why don't the Browns just cut Deshaun Watson? Apparently the penalty, if they do,
it's huge.
It's gigantic. I think they would actually have to get rid of a lot of their good players to cut him this season.
Yeah, they would have him.
You can still bench him.
They would just bench him, and he'll be the highest paid bench warmer in NFL history.
When the Broncos cut Russell Wilson, it was a similar situation, except it was not as much money, and it was 1 year better. It was like. And that was a bad situation for Denver. So that shows you how bad the Browns got in with this. Real Time EV says it all depends on money's owed to the money owed to Adams. Yeah, I don't know what the situation is like there.
I know his contract ends in 2 years, I think. I don't know the specifics of his I don't know.
There is no way.
I know his agent really well.
I would be shocked if
he is his agent, and I can call him, but it's just I'm sure they're working hard trying to figure out a deal, figuring out a place where he can go.
The money, nobody's going to take on that money.
Did you see that video he did? They had him mic'd up at his last game he played. He was saying how he's never gotten beaten up so bad in a game in his life. He's just getting hit like every play. They just the other team just beats him up and hits him and does all these cheap shots with him. And he was like going crazy. If you can Google it, try to Google it. It's like,
I'll take a look. I didn't hear it.
He is not happy. And he was not happy in Las Vegas. He wants out. Quick.
Well, unfortunately, with his current life setup, he's not going to be happy almost anywhere. He's got a lot going on. Let's talk about some performances last week and, which are real. I really don't know what to do about Alec Pierce at this point. He's constantly catching 3 balls for 100 yards and a touchdown. Like, I don't know how is this for real at all? In a continuing sort of way, Ross?
I guess if you got him, if you can start him, do it. I would say if it's Flacco starting as quarterback, I would say yes. If it's Richardson, I would hesitate because Richardson is not a great passing quarterback.
You could start him if you're desperate for something, though. But
if Flacco's playing, I would. And Pittman's out. Pittman is out for. I think he's on IR. They announced it yesterday or today.
Mm-hmm.
Pittman's not playing, so Pierce moves up on the chain. And I think with Flacco playing, I think Pierce was definitely. I think him and Downs, are the 2 main guys now.
Yep. All right, how about Tank Bigsby? We talked about Etienne. Real Tommy V was suggesting they should deal Etienne to Dallas, but is Tank Bigsby? He only got 13 carries, but he did a hell of a lot with them.
Yeah, Casey and I talked about him on Tuesday. He was one of our big pickups for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Tank is going to have that job. He's going to be the big receiver. He's going to be.
I think he's taken over as the main running back there.
I mean, he's running like he's possessed right now. And as I mentioned, Jacksonville, they're going to start throwing the ball more, and they're going to start getting the receivers more in the game.
How about Darius Slayton? I mean, what do we even make of the Giants?
I mean, who would think? I mean, on Tuesday we said Slayton, Robinson, and Daniel Jones were all good pickups for next week against the Bengals, which I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones is playing great football. I know they were booing him 2 weeks ago in New York, but now his last game, he looked great against Seattle.
I mean, Daniel Jones's career has been insane. It goes up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
And people are always saying they know what he is, but I don't know.
He definitely. But I mean, he runs the ball and he passes. I mean, the Giants are another team that have nothing to lose. I mean, no one predicts them to do well, so might as well go for it on fourth down. If it's close, go for it. Who cares?
Yeah, that makes for a dangerous team. Real Tommy V has one more comment on Davante Adams. The acquiring team might have to restructure his contract in the trade. Yeah, and I just don't know what the rules are in terms of what's allowed to be restructured. But we did have a Garrett Wilson sighting last week. 13 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. I know you don't like the Jets. I know we're talking about that we would trade
liking
Garrett
the Jets.
Wilson.
It's fantasy wise. I mean, look at Breece Hall. I mean, he's one of the big bombs this year.
He's terrible.
Nothing in fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Garrett. Look at Wilson. They're fantasy wise, they just kill you. I mean, it's just they're a boring offense. Hackett is not a good offensive coordinator. I've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah. Yep. How about Juju Smith-Schuster?
Wow, what a game he had in Kansas City. Will he repeat it? No. Will he do it again later in the season? Yes. Do you want to keep starting him and watch bad stats until he does it again? No. But he had an unbelievable game, prime time. Congratulations to him. That was the guy from 5 years ago. That was the guy that we all drafted in the second, third round in fantasy football 5 years ago. But congratulations to him. I'm happy for him. He's been in the league for a while. Somebody has to step it up in Kansas City. Might as well be him.
Tommy V agrees. Hackett is terrible. Yeah. I think everybody agrees with that. By the way, here's another story from last week that I feel like we all saw coming a mile away, and yet we also were kind of like, is that really going to happen? And then it did. To me, it's not a surprise to see Kareem Hunt carry the ball 27 times, break 100 yards, and a touchdown. He was sitting there out as a free agent, and I was just like, this guy is still a starting level running back. I don't know why he's out there.
Well, you know why. I mean, we all saw the tape of him, taking that girl in the hallway in the hotel. It's not a secret. I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't know.
I'm not saying there's no reason for it, but it still is.
We live in a society now where if you do that to a woman and it's on tape, like Diddy and all these other guys, and
it shouldn't have to be on tape. By the way.
I mean, look at Ray Rice. His career's over. I mean,
but you know what? That was the turning point, because when Ray Rice did that, they initially just suspended him 4 games while they were suspending Josh Gordon for like multiple seasons for using pot. It was so messed up. And then when they were finally called to their senses, and Rice's career was over. And listen, I'm not for witch hunts and cancellations and things like that, but that kind of behavior is just completely unacceptable.
I think when you're on tape beating up a woman, I think that kind of hurts you. A lot of teams won't hire you.
I think so. But even so, just from a fantasy perspective, I was thinking Kareem Hunt's going to get picked up somewhere.
I figured he would.
Kansas City. Yeah.
And he was very, he's a new guy. I mean, he really is. I mean, he was being interviewed, and he said he was watching the game when Prosecco went down. Like he said to his wife, "I'm going to get a call from Kansas City." And his wife said, "Why?" He said because their running back went down and he's out for a while. They're gonna bring me back.
Yep.
And 3 hours later, they called his house and said, when can he come to camp?
That's all I mean is he was the
Yeah.
only running back out there, and it's probably for the reasons that you were saying that he was out there at all, but he's the only running back out there that was just a total starter-ready running back just
Oh, he
sitting out.
was, and I think he'll be sharing handoffs when their starter comes back. I think he'll be I think he'll still have a job.
Yep. All right, is Kyren Williams back? Do you feel good about him now?
I don't know if he's playing this week. Are the Rams off? No, Rams are playing this week, right? Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh, no, I think
they are on bye this week. No, they're on bye this week.
The Rams are not playing this week. So.
But now it's been 3 straight weeks of very good performances.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Williams is not playing this week because it's a bye.
But this is a good time to trade for him if you're 4-1 or you're 5-0, I'd trade for him. You use those bye weeks. Sometimes that can really help.
Yeah. I mean, I was high on him beginning the season. I think he's going to, I have him in a lot of my leagues.
But I mean, after the first week or two, we had him dropped lower because we were like, what's going on here? The Rams look in disarray, which they do. But he still looks like the real deal. So if you picked him in the first round, you got good value with that. How about Brock Bowers? What do you make of him, especially in Vegas with this situation? I mean, it just seems like with Davante Adams out, he's going to get thrown the ball a lot.
Well, Adrian O'Donnell is the starting quarterback this week from Purdue. He's their starter. So
I thought it was O'Connell, wasn't it?
So when they bring a quarterback in, he played last year, but he'll be doing a lot of dump offs to the tight end. Bowers will have his 70, 80 yards, maybe a touchdown here and there.
But for a tight end, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Bowers, I think he's the guy that's going to benefit the most, like with the quarterback change, just because he'll get a lot more passes.
All right, where did you guys have Tyrone Tracy in your
top 5?
Okay,
it was actually Casey's number 1 pick was Bixby. My number 1 pick was Tracy, because I didn't want to agree with the guy. Tracy's. It's like he's running downhill when he has that ball. He looks great. I mean, he's going to have a huge game against the Bengals this week.
Mm-hmm.
I say 100 yards and a touchdown for Tracy this week.
Are you seeing him basically as the starting running back going forward? I don't know how long Singletary's even out for.
I think he'll get his handoffs. He'll get between 10 and 15 handoffs a game.
So in other words, he's here to stay as a valuable fantasy player.
Yes, he's very impressive, this guy, 100%.
And how about Jalen Tolbert? Is he somebody who has arrived on the scene now?
I mean, the Cowboys with Cook's gone, and Tolbert had that big game, a big touchdown last week. He's somebody that I suggested to pick up too. So did Casey Scheinfeld. I mean, we both were on the same page. I don't trust the Cowboys that much. CeeDee Lamb has not really performed like he should as a number 1 receiver in Dallas.
Yeah, but I think he will.
I mean,
I'm not.
That's why you should try to trade and get him. I agree with you. I'm a big CeeDee Lamb guy, but I kind of like when the Cowboys lose. I mean, I don't know about you, but I kind of.
Of course, that's why they're called America's team, because everybody wants to see them lose. I never understood that America's team thing.
Well,
Well,
everybody loved Jimmy Johnson and Kirk.
No, but it was well before then that it was the Tom Landry years that got them.
Tom Landry. I always thought Jimmy Johnson. I didn't know it went all the way back to Tom Landry. But,
no, they were considered America's team back then. But yeah, and I actually like Jimmy Johnson.
I did too. How about those Cowboys?
I mean, it's not easy to get me to like a Cowboys coach. But
I got to work with him one time, and that hair does not move. That's so much hairspray in that hair. It's unbelievable.
It's a Lego helmet. I'm pretty sure. How about Rico Dowdle? Is
Rico Suave?
Rico Suave.
Suave, I like. Again, the Dallas running game is not what it was 3-4 years ago. I mean, it's just not. I mean, Rico had a good game last week. Do I trust him? No. Do I think Zeke Elliott's going to be the answer? No. Do I think the Cowboys will make the playoffs? Probably. But I'm not trading for Rico. Maybe Uncle Rico I'll trade for, but not.
I mean, but if you had him on your bench, I think it's not a bad start. I
No,
don't.
not
I
at
wouldn't be
all.
looking to
If you
acquire
need a
him.
starter, if you're running back 1 and 2, one of them has a bye week or they're hurt. I mean, it's not a bad start. Absolutely.
All right. So you mentioned Jonathan Taylor before.
Where is he?
Well, I'm going to read the news on it. But what are you thinking about Trey Sermon, who was the one who played in his place?
I watch. I don't know how you watch games. I watch games in my house in the red zone.
Red zone, yeah.
So with the red zone, there's no commercials. It's like you can't leave your chair because there's no intermission. Only when there's half times you could kind of walk away and go to the bathroom. But Trey Sermon, every time they handed the ball off, he was stopped at the scrimmage. I mean, he had a touchdown. I think he did have a touchdown. It was like a 1-yard run. But I'm not impressed with Trey. If the Colts, again, the Colts are going to go to the passing game with Trey Sermon starting. They're not going to give the guy the ball that much.
Yep. All right, let's revisit Marvin Harrison Jr. It was a hot debate going into the year. I was ranking him lower. And listen, I was completely certain that I would be right in terms of the overall numbers, but that's not really the story with a rookie receiver. The real story with a rookie receiver is how valuable are they going to be starting right around now? Like, is he going to start to pick up, I
think he's a game changer. I believe in it. I believe in him. I think Murray is playing well,
and he's been pretty good overall. Actually, he had a bad week.
He's like a video game. I mean, I love watching him run. I mean, he's like I'm playing like, I'm probably dating myself. I'm playing like Atari or something like that.
Listen,
just making moves.
Back to that question that we had about Garrett Wilson and that kind of trade. Yeah. I would trade Garrett Wilson for Marvin Harrison Jr. even in a redraft league. I would
too. I would too. In a redraft, both. I mean, both. I believe in him. I also like Michael Wilson for Arizona, and I also feel Arizona's playing Green Bay this week, and I think it's like an 8 or 9 point spread, whatever it is. I think Arizona's going to give him a good game. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think that game is going to be a high scoring game and big on fantasy. So if you have anybody on any of those teams, make sure you start them.
All right, Cap for Life says, gentlemen, it's good to see you, Cap for Life. Let us know if you have questions or comments. Can't wait to hear about them. Let's jump back to Tyreek Hill for a second. What's the situation on Tua? When's he coming back?
That's a great question.
I mean, there's also the question of should he come back, of course.
I think he comes back in 2 weeks. I think that's what they're projecting. I mean, I think Miami has a bye week this week, if I'm right. And I think they're saying maybe the week next week or the week after. Yes, he should come back. I know people are saying, "Oh, he's too many concussions. He shouldn't be playing."
Well, listen, if he is going to come back, he just has to learn to slide.
I mean, he can't take the hits like he's doing. He has to take the page from Tom Brady's book. You know what I mean? Tom Brady, as much as he played that many games, he never really got hit that much.
I don't remember him ever getting hit like that.
I mean,
ever.
Not like he does, not like Tua does.
And listen, it's not like that's just because the Patriots were that good and they protected him so well. Tom Brady was just really smart with the ball. He knew when to get rid of it. I mean, he not in like a cowardly way where he would just throw it away to get rid of the ball. He just was super smart all the time.
Yeah, he was a very smart quarterback. He would not get hit that much in his career, and that's why he can be in the box and make $300 million a year, being a side guy on an announcing team.
Well, he's a whole different story than anyone in NFL history.
Yeah.
All right. What are you thinking about Kenneth Walker's game last week?
Kenneth Walker, the third you're talking about, the second or the first? Which one are you saying?
We're going to talk about the third since he's the one who's relevant.
Got it. I think the Seattle running game looks good. Charbonnet and
but why did he only get 5 carries? 5 carries for 19
Yeah, I think tonight he's going to get a little more. I don't know. I don't know if he was hurt or I don't know if what happened but I think Walker's going to have a big game against the 49ers tonight. I mean, the week before he looked unbelievable. He was.
Yeah, I would say don't panic. Don't panic over 1 week,
No,
but also
he'll be getting the ball a lot.
He got good receiving yards anyway.
They'll be focusing on the run game tonight. Both teams. Mason will get the ball. Charbonnet, all those guys are going to get a lot of carries. It's going to be less throwing, a lot more running. You'll see tonight.
All right, Cap for Life has some questions. Talk to me about Adonai Mitchell from Indy.
Yeah.
There's other questions. Gibson from New England, heard both Downs and Stevenson are did not practice today.
Adonai Mitchell, not a fan. I would probably waive him, but that's me.
You're talking only in redraft leagues, I assume. But
yeah, of course, redraft league. This is all redraft leagues, not talking dynasty.
We'll talk dynasty if people want. But
We
when we're talking generally,
keep in dynasty. But okay, Nick Gibson from New England. I like Gibson. I have him stashed away in some of my teams. He does get the ball. He had some pretty good games if you look at his stats, and they do pass to him also. I like
also,
Gibson.
I mean, with a rookie quarterback, and he's a running back who can catch balls too.
Oh yeah,
so that's helpful because a rookie quarterback's going to dump it off to the running back a lot of the time. At least if he knows what's good for him. Let's see. Heard both Downs and Stevenson did not practice. Yeah, so I think Adonai Mitchell's not likely to come into value there. I also don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be like. From a dynasty and keeper perspective, it might be different. I'm much bigger on Gibson of the two. Now running back Vidal from the Chargers. I have J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, Vidal had huge hopes in the beginning of the season. I mean, the Alabama alumni had huge hopes, but he's not getting the ball. Dobbins is getting the ball in Los Angeles.
I mean, I would. Yeah, go ahead.
I would stash him away. I don't know if they cut him, you cut him, but I would try to stash him. There are going to be some injuries coming up in fantasy football when in the running back position. It just happens. I'm sorry. It's a fact of life.
Sure.
So keeping these second string, third string running backs.
Well, especially as like the Chargers, I mean, Gus the Bus, those two runners, Dobbins ahead of him, obviously first, but Gus the Bus next. Just one of them if there's an injury or whatever, and Vidal's in. So I think you do try to stash. Cap for Life says Vidal or Benson stash one. Which would you do? I'm Benson myself. I think he's closer.
Benson just because every
closer
year
to starting.
Hunter gets hurt every year. So does Dobbins.
Yep.
Benson, I would, but it's close. I wouldn't say you're making a mistake I wouldn't say either one's a mistake.
All right. Real Tommy V says, okay, gentlemen, I have to go. Awesome show. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Tommy, for being here with us. We will see you same time next week. Ross, before we wrap up for today, any other players that you think should be on people's radars that maybe we didn't talk about? And that could be players that you think you want to pick up, players you want to trade for, or players that you're like, you know what? This is that time of year where you start to think about cutting bait.
Well, cutting bait's a great topic. I do it a lot just in spite.
Right, exactly. I don't want to look at your name on my roster.
I just cut them. I just, you know what? I'm tired of looking at your name, and I'm just cutting you. But in our waiver wire show, I'm high on Tracy. I'm high on a lot of guys right now. It's just but this week it's the week of like Rattler and May. There's all these young quarterbacks that are starting, and also what I mean. If I can go out and get a Jaden Daniels on my team as the quarterback, then get rid of somebody with a big name, and somebody might think, "Oh wow, I'm ripping this guy off." Getting. Let's say I'm trading away Dak Prescott for Jade. Let me ask you a question. How about this question for you? Jaden Daniels for Dak Prescott. Would you do that? Yes or no?
Only if I'm getting Jaden Daniels.
Right.
But exactly. I would. Yeah.
Kyrie Murray for Jaden Daniels.
I would take Daniels in that situation.
So who wouldn't you trade for Daniels right now?
Well, it's tough to trade Mahomes even with him being down.
Casey and I talked about Mahomes' stats or fantasy, and they're not getting better.
No, they're not. I mean, since Tyreek Hill. Well, since we've talked about it, since Tyreek Hill.
You rather have Mahomes right now as your starting quarterback than Daniels?
Probably not, actually. No.
There you go.
I like, yeah. Who do you keep over? I mean, Jalen Hurts. It's like, would you rather have Jalen Hurts or Daniels right now? It looks like Daniels to me. I mean,
we're going through these quarterbacks, and you're picking Daniels at every spot you can. I'm just trying to think who I would. I mean, C.J. Stroud or Daniels.
I'm going to stick with C.J. Stroud, but it's
I knew that's a turning point for you. That's why I brought it up because I know you love those Texans. But again, I just mentioned
Josh Allen, I'm keeping over Daniels.
So Josh Allen, you would keep over Daniels. That makes sense. I'm not gonna no argument here. So you think there's like 2 or 3 quarterbacks that you rather have than Daniels? Correct?
Listen, this may not be popular with people, but I'd rather have Jordan Love. Actually, I just think that offense is a little more consistent.
Listen,
it's close.
I
also would probably keep. I would have Joe Burrow still over Daniels.
5 touchdowns last week. Yeah. Even the Bengals lost.
I would keep
I'll tell you something about the Bengals. I know people are down on them, but fantasy-wise, don't worry about the wins or losses, folks. If they're losing, they're going to start throwing the ball a lot more. So don't start Chase Brown. Start Higgins. Start Chase. Jamar Chase. Start Burrow, because the Bengals have nothing to lose. They're going to be whipping that ball out. They're going to be setting scoring records because their defense can't stop anybody.
I also would keep Lamar Jackson over Daniels.
Okay, so
it's close. There's probably 5 quarterbacks ahead of him.
Okay, that's fair. But again, what I'm saying, why I brought that up is, if you have a quarterback that's not performing that well, but he has a big name value, let's say the quarterback.
Mahomes is a perfect example. If
it's a redraft league, I would go for it. I would try to get Daniels. I really would.
Or Jalen Hurts. Those two, I would. They're my 2 dynasty quarterbacks. Hilariously,
you got to go against the grain sometimes. I always say that, because you're not going to win your league if you go.
You have to take. You do have to take some chances for sure. Okay, Jonathan Santiago says better stash Tracy Jr. or Ray Davis with James Cook dealing with toe turf. All right, so that's a good tip with Ray Davis. Hunter 18 says start Wan'Dale, Robb, or Deontay Johnson. What are the matchups?
So Wan'Dale Robinson, Giants. They're playing the Bengals. I mentioned that before. And the Carolina. Who's Carolina playing?
We'll check.
No, I would start Deontay Johnson. I know they're playing in the morning, here on the West Coast, and as long as the Carolina quarterback is not playing at night, I think you're okay. So I would start Deontay Johnson.
Oh, look at this. Cap for Life says Bijan did not practice. Is that right? Wow, I got to take a look at that.
Tyler Algiers, baby. Get him, pick him up when you can. I'm sure he's picked up in most leagues anyway.
The funny thing is, I picked him up in our league, and then Casey, who's co-managing the team, cut him.
You guys make a great pair.
You guys have to talk to him about that. All right, Ross, we're going to wrap up here, but next week you're doing Waiver Wire again with Casey. That's
Waiver Wire Tuesday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern, and then we got baseball on today. We got I'm not going to say Indians, but we got Cleveland playing Detroit today. It should be good. I know you're still an Indian, I know you're still a Cleveland fan. So
I am definitely a Cleveland fan. I'm just that's part of the reason I'm not a Browns fan, because I'm a Cleveland fan.
As soon as Watson's done and they moved on, I think you'll be back at Cleveland. I think you'll be a Browns fan again.
I don't know. I have other reasons that I don't like the Browns organization, but
okay, fine.
We'll see. All right, Ross, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for watching. We will be here next week. Tuesdays will be Ross and Casey with the Waiver Wire. It'll be me, Ross, and hopefully Casey as well on Thursday for a strategy show. We're looking forward to it. Keep up good work on the season. Let us know if we can be of any help, and put your comments below. Ross, thanks so much.